Hello.
Hello.
Back again.
Hi there. Yes, back again for the year 2017.
We did it.
Indeed. Yeah, we did it. We survived. We're still here. So thank you once again, everybody, for coming to check out our stream. This game is Snake Pass.
Snake Pass.
And we are Sumo Digital. Yes. So, did you say you're welcome?
No, I said welcome.
Oh, welcome. I knew the thank you. Excellent. So, if you don't know, you can check out our names on the bottom. I am David Dino. I'm one of the designers and also a snake charmer here at Sumo Digital. Also working on Snake Pass. And this is Seblis. He is the lead designer and creator of Snake Pass, which actually came from an internal game jam.
Indeed.
A long
time ago.
It wasn't that long ago, actually.
It
but
feels like a long time.
Yeah, it does feel like a long time ago, and that's pretty much what we're we're talking about today. We're going to be talking about the year of the snake. What was it? The year? No, I don't know if it was the year of the snake. Actually, no, it might have been the year of the dragon last year.
I
don't know. Yeah,
you should know.
I really okay. I probably should have looked it up prior, though. But yes, 2016 was a great year for Snake Pass, and we're going to be talking about all the cool things that the team has learned, what you've experienced as well, because this is your baby, and this is also Sumo Digital's baby. It is our first original IP, original game. Normally, we work with many huge partners, such as Microsoft and Sony. You might have known us from other games, like Sega games as well, such as... I was going to say, no, Little Big Planet is a Sony game. But Sonic All-Stars Racing, we've done a bunch of like Forza Horizon 2 and everything like that. So being able to work on our own IP, and especially it being your kind of brainchild as well, coming from the Game Jam, that must have been really cool, just the journey itself. Because technically it's only been around a year this thing has been really in development, hasn't it?
Yeah.
From the beginning to almost the end.
Yeah, we started actually with people working on the actual game January last year.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's been a year now.
Mm-hmm. And then for, Unreal, clearly, that's how you kind of got into it, learning Unreal, and that's how you were able to come up with this. Let's bring it back really quick. Oh, nope, I am completely incorrect. This crazy thing, this is actually the first version that you brought to the Game Jam, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Yep. So how did you come up with the snake and everything?
Well, it's a story I've told many times, but I'm happy to of course,
tell feel free, again. Feel free.
So, shall I tell also about the whole background, how I actually came to sumo? Or
I mean, I'm sure.
Sort of fits in a little bit.
Definitely.
So I actually used to be a biology teacher in Holland, and I was playing a lot of video games in my free time.
Mm-hmm.
And in the time when the PC game Spore came out, I started making actual content for video games in my free time, and I realized I really liked doing that, and I was sort of good at it as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I did that for about 2 years and made a ton of different creatures and vehicles and whole planets full of content.
Mm-hmm.
And I was really hoping to sort of get a job through doing that. But after 2 years, I realized that was probably not going to happen. Mm-hmm. So I read online somewhere that the best creators in Little Big Planet were getting hired by the studio that was making Little Big Planet. So I bought a PlayStation, I bought Little Big Planet, and
Specifically for that?
Specifically for that, yeah. I wanted to... I set as a goal for me to become a famous creator in the Little Big Planet community and hopefully get a job through that. So it took me about 2 years to learn Little Big Planet, all the ins and outs, and get better and better, and just making content, lots of content, getting more and more subscribers. Still teaching during the day, and did all this in the evening hours. And then one day I got an email from Sumo if I would like to work on the sequel of Little Big Planet. So I quit my teaching job, I moved to England to work for Sumo, and I worked for 2 years on Little Big Planet 3.
Yeah.
Which was my favorite game at the time, so I really made a drastic switch from teaching to a designer. And after the Little Big Planet was done, I was supposed to move to another project which was using Unreal Engine.
Yeah.
But all my game development knowledge was sort of just Spore engine and the Little Big Planet engine I was good with. So they gave me some time to actually familiarize myself with the Unreal Engine before they would put me on the new
Did you
project.
feel it was kind of easy to jump into Unreal, considering the way Little Big Planet worked in terms of logic and everything as well?
Yeah.
With the blueprint system and everything?
Yeah, well, from Little Big Planet, I was very much used to connecting things together with wires to make stuff happen. And that's actually one of the core things you do in Unreal is connect stuff together to make things happen. So that way of thinking was very easy for me.
Nice.
So in a couple of days, really, and also the tutorials that Unreal has online are just really good, and I followed most of the basic tutorials from their website. And after a couple of days, I felt pretty confident that I could start making stuff. So what I usually do when I want to learn the new software is I just set a goal for myself. I'm going to try to make that.
Yeah.
So the goal I set for myself at the beginning of this learning period was I want to make a rope that can swing when the player moves into it. Something relatively simple. And as I was doing that, I decided to for the outside of the rope to use a spline. And sometime during the development of that, I forgot to attach the rope to the ceiling. And when I saw it fall on the floor in this really nice circular spiral shape, I thought, wow, that type of smooth motion, I've actually never seen that in a video game. I wonder if I can do something more with that. I wonder if I can control this rope as a character. So I started adding logic on the top to make the rope controllable, and when I saw the movement and the way it interacts with the environment, I thought, whoa, this is really cool. And then from my biology background, actually during my uni study, I actually owned 2 pet snakes, solid and liquid snake.
Of course.
Of course. So yeah, the link from making the rope into a snake was easily made, and because I owned those pet snakes, I was very familiar with the way they use their muscles, because I spent hours with the snakes crawling through my hands, and I could feel exactly when they use their muscles to go around stuff.
Yeah.
So I started adding logic on the top of the rope to mimic sort of snake physics.
Right.
And the end result was actually this when I came in.
Switch over to the green snake, if that's all right. Yeah, just talk us through as to like what were the processes in making it, and when you were trying to come up with a game really for this type of movement.
Well, that was one of the challenges, because the cool thing was the way it moves, and then the question was how you actually make a game around that. So initially I just built this kind of big open playground with things to collect, which actually stuck all the way to the end. And some of the basic mechanics, like going through tubes and wrapping around objects.
Yeah, because we see that in the actual game as well.
Yes.
So
yeah, a lot of the basics for the game were set actually in this rough prototype.
Right.
The original one, when I came into the day of the game jam, this was still sort of a rope. It didn't have a head, so we spent most of the game jam day turning the rope into an actual snake. And then, it got even better when you see like the texture on the snake with the scales, and when you see that in motion, and it even made the whole visual element of it even stronger.
Right.
And I think that's also what a lot of people initially latched onto when I got voted as the winner for the game jam. Just the fact that it's something that visually looks really appealing and unique.
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
a motion that's never been done before.
Yeah. I mean, you can talk about games like, Snake Rattle and Roll, or just even the Nokia Snake, but
yeah,
they're nowhere closest to anything like this.
They have
to be
a snake
fair.
as a main character, but none of them actually try to mimic any physical interaction that the snake does.
Exactly.
Because it's very much a physics-based game.
Yeah.
And in this prototype, I still had a lot of problems, like you can fly if you run into a wall, like I'm showing here.
Yeah.
So a lot of the first few months of development after winning this was just balancing out the snake and making
Which was
sure
late
that
2015 to early 2016.
Yeah.
For the most part. Yeah.
Yeah, because after I won the game jam, there was a break until the new year. And then we started properly working on it in January.
Right.
The game jam was in October, so there was about 2 months where I was just adding little bits and bobs at home.
It is really shiny right now.
Forward. Yeah, like I'm still figuring out the Unreal Engine as well. As you can see, I just put lights on everything, and I didn't realize that would create 100 lens flares. So the whole screen is just covered in lens flares.
So how long did it take in Unreal Engine to actually, once you had, I guess, the core mechanic itself, putting all those things together, how long did it take?
Well, building this actual level was maybe a day's work.
Okay.
And the snake itself was maybe about 2 weeks of evenings to get it to this point. And after that, when we got into proper development and we had to make him balanced and react properly to gravity and stuff like that. Hundreds of hours of tweaking. I honestly have no idea anymore how many hours it were. But John, the coder, and me spent the first few weeks almost every day tweaking values on the snake. And just rebalancing it and making it better.
Oh, I can imagine just making sure that you wanted to make it work.
Yeah.
Just right.
At the beginning,
just
we're
right.
very much focused on making the snake just feel as good as possible.
Yeah.
And as controllable as possible.
And it's the core thing that you'll be doing the most for it anyway.
Exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, it was interesting that when you got to that point in 2016, we initially took it to this place when we were trying to at least get ideas of how people would latch on to it outside of the company. We took it to this little video game nightly, almost like a barcade, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's called Game Over here in Sheffield, and the really cool guys over there. It's almost going to be the first anniversary.
Was that before Res that we did that?
That was way before Res,
so that was
actually.
the first time we actually ever showed it.
Yeah, we don't have the particular version anymore, but it was when you first had the red, white, and yellow snake, I think.
Yeah,
and people were like glitching it very oddly, to be fair. But it was really cool getting that response, that first public response from people.
Yeah.
And that event was primarily catered around gamers that were like our age and younger, the typical early 20s, that type of crowd. But we also wanted to see if perhaps maybe it worked with kids and families as well. So we took it to another convention, I believe it was called WazCon Junior, maybe 2 weeks afterwards. And the game really became like a spectator game.
Yes.
Yeah. You had people who weren't playing, like family members and moms and dads who were watching their kids play, kind of jump in on it and be like, oh, move here, move there. You should move the snake this way, that way, so on and so forth. And it is pretty funny to all the shows that we've taken it to. That hasn't changed.
No,
that really hasn't changed.
There's a lot of people watching as well.
Yeah, because like you said, it's very unique in this regard that you can't really. You're controlling a snake and it's relatively lifelike. Although the snake itself in here, it's pretty. I mean, since it's a bit more realistic, a lot of people they get kind of spooked. Which is when you take a look at the snake over here. If we just go back to the screen when it pops up, the snake is way more. Oh, James, can you switch back to? Yes, like Noodle here, which is the snake's name. Happier, goofier, bigger eyes, the whole nine, and I believe that was a struggle to design in that sense as well, character design wise. I mean, you're going for an all audience, and snakes in general can tend to be relatively creepy.
Yeah, well, because I own 2 pet snakes, and I come from a biology background, and I really like all kinds of reptiles, so that thought really never occurred to me until we started showing it to people, and we got quite a few people reacting a bit creeped out, like, oh, it's scary, or I don't like looking at that motion even.
Yeah.
So once we went past the phase of having the snake working, it became very important to cutify the snake, to make it so that people didn't
accessible
get put
to
off,
everybody.
by the fact that you were playing as a snake.
I mean, it's not really the name initially started off as Snake Simulator, but in a sense, it's not really.
No. It turned out we turned. Partially because of that reason, we got more to a cartoony style and more to a cartoony approach of the game in general. Because when we were in this prototype, in my head, there was a big chance that it would still become a proper snake simulator.
Okay,
like
all right.
Realistic, with a realistic looking snake, possibly strangling things.
Okay. So what would have been the core concept if you stuck with Snake Simulator?
Well, it would probably be more like lifelike, and you traveling through a rainforest environment, stealing eggs from animals, perhaps, or strangling hamsters.
Which almost made it.
Still a bit of a comical element to it, but the initial thought I had for it was a lot more realistic than we ended up with in the end.
Was there like a story or a background that you kind of sort of had in the back of your head for that, or?
No, not at all.
Nothing in particular.
No, that's also definitely not my strong suit.
Fair enough.
Noticed, like I'm quite good at coming up with ideas and concepts and mechanics and stuff like that, but how to actually fit them into a proper story, that I'm glad we have other people who are way better at that. So yeah, I needed that help as well.
I think that's definitely been one of the strong suits, especially for the production of this game as well. Sumo Digital itself is a relatively big, company. We have a lot of people working here, and we're working on many different projects. So being able to have the resources to put into a game like this in such a short time frame to get to what we show on trailers and everything like that, it's a good asset to have, and we have a lot of talented people here, thankfully.
Yeah, and there was also just so much enthusiasm from the beginning from so many people. Like, not even people who didn't work on the game, they would approach me when I was having a cigarette outside, for example.
Yeah.
And just give their thoughts, and a lot of those things stuck. And yeah, it's not just the team that worked on it. I feel like a lot of people have just added little thoughts to it that did end up in the game and
definitely
made it what it is.
And
now.
then we just go from something like this to, if I just switch back over. Oh yes,
Yeah.
we'll get to this bit actually, but let's see if we can jump right in. It's just just go ahead and keep pressing that button. There we go. To this.
Yeah.
To this. This is pretty much close to the...
Yeah, we passed alpha. We're working towards beta now. So yeah,
this is pretty much it, isn't it? Yeah.
Very close.
It's been a lot of hard work. And as I was playing this earlier, having been through also checking out the different versions and whatnot throughout the year, it's still relatively changed a fair bit. To be fair, in terms of the design of the are they still keystones? The gems. Keystones over there?
Keystones are they called now?
Yeah. They used to be a bit more complicated in design, but now they're more robust, simpler.
Yeah.
I think they're easier to recognize too. You're like, oh, there it is. That's the diamond one. Oh, that's the circle one. So on and so forth.
Yeah, the art style in general is really chunky. So we had the gemstones were a lot more detailed before, but
yeah, I think it makes more sense.
We're trying to
the
embrace
overall
the
theme.
chunkiness.
Yeah, exactly. So those coins that you were collecting earlier are now wisps.
Yeah.
Yep. You got more collectibles and everything like that. There's clearly, well, it stuck to the relatively, same theme in terms of
you still
foresty,
go around
jungly, and everything.
A relatively open environment, collecting stuff, but there's a lot more purpose to the collection. And yeah, the figuring out what the gameplay was. The gameplay is essentially how do I get my snake from here to there.
Yeah.
And so the purpose of these collectibles is just to lure you to get to me.
Yeah,
to get to me.
Yeah, and I think obviously from a snake simulator, it almost became a snake. Well, it is a snake platformer.
Yes.
More than anything else, and you can tell in the design, it's harkening a lot of the different things about old school 3D platformers as well. Like you're talking about the collectibles, kind of an open design in that regard. It's basically how to get from point A to point B as a snake.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember the moment that we were thinking for a long time, what's the core of the game? And at some point, it occurred to me the core is get to the top.
Yeah.
Get to the top. In 4 words, that describes what the core motivation of the game should be. And then we just build levels and come up with stuff that teases you to get to the top.
Yeah, exactly. I remember talking to Brad, I think it was before we left for the new year, and he was talking about that particular problem in terms of game design. It's what are we trying to do? So as you were building levels, I think when you were saying get to the top, the initial goal was to actually get all the way to the top for, I guess as an iteration of one of them. Yeah. So you were consistently making objects or, platforms, motifs where you're always constantly going up. But then the problem came is, what happens when you fall? Yeah. Do you start all the way from the bottom? Do you go at this point? So what did you think, I guess, was the eureka moment where it's let's spread this all out? I know Brad mentioned when the concept art, you guys were trying to figure out concept art and everything like that. I think Paulo, he made one with floating islands and everything, and they were just kind of oh.
Yeah, so
that makes sense.
This is not the best level to talk about it, because this is a level where when you fall, you you almost always will have floor underneath you.
But it is one of the earliest ones.
Level.
Yeah,
we're still trying to teach you stuff. But some of the issues we were running in while designing levels for the later on were every time you fell, you actually fell down on the floor and you had to climb back up where you were, and that felt kind of annoying.
Yeah, almost punishing, to be fair.
Very punishing.
Think so, yeah.
So,
because I mean, when you see people try to get up, if you turn around really quick, when we watch people climb up something like that at shows, and when they fall down, they're like,
to watch,
oh God, why? And
and if that happens,
that might be disheartening for everybody. Yeah.
Then that's fine, and even especially for these kind of things which are optional, so
exactly.
you can go back later to this level and get it. But to have the whole game punish you constantly in such a way that you have to backtrack a lot all the time, that just didn't feel good. But for some reason, none of the design team that was currently working on it could see a solution.
Well, it's very much tunnel vision, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you're working,
you're stuck in a way of thinking, and it's stuck
especially
in a
with
way
a smaller
that the levels
team
should
too.
look like. But then we actually gave a screenshot of one of the undressed, unarted levels to one of the concept artists to come up with an art style. That was actually the main purpose of that. But one of the most important things he did while drawing that picture was delete all the floor and just make it a ravine at the bottom, basically. When we saw that picture, everything just clicked. Like, why? How can we not have come up with that ourselves? It seems like such a simple solution, and it instantly solved most of the issues we have with backtracking.
Definitely.
And it's still punishing to die if you fall, but it's definitely better to just respawn where you were than have to climb back all the way and do exactly the same thing you just did.
Yeah. Maybe as a challenge level or something like that. I mean, that would be cool, but for the most part, I think, or obviously in the latest level, or maybe the last level or something like that, that would, because you would have already been grounded in the ways of the snake and everything.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So when you came up with that concept finally, we took that. Let me see if we have that actually. We should. Let me bounce out of this really quick. Take the hello everybody, by the way. Let's see here. Yes, indeed. So, oh my. That snake is gone. So, yes, we took the game to EGX Rest.
That was in April.
That was April. Man, it feels like not that long, to be fair.
We worked on it for 3 to 4 months, 3.5 months. And that was the first real event we took it to. And this is what we brought.
We actually had 2 control schemes as well, which have come back. Yeah. To be fair, but we'll talk about that later. I think that was one of the main concerns as well in terms of bringing it to these shows to see whether or not people could actually acclimate to the controls, because it's such a different way of controlling a character. I always liken it to controlling a weird car, because you do have an accelerator, kind of sort of like a brake in a sense, to be fair. But still, visually you see a snake, so you're not going to think car immediately.
Yeah, and I keep saying, like, people know by now, or most people know by now, how to play a 3D platforming game. Yeah. They've played one at some point in their lives, so you usually don't have to explain a lot of the controls.
Right, exactly.
To expect too much of the player. But
this is a jump,
this is completely different.
Because moving forward doesn't necessarily just, if you hold the stick forward, you're not going to move forward.
No, so one of the core mechanics is that you have to make this motion, which we call slithering. Yeah. To actually go forward.
Because you wanted to grind that in real life as well.
If you try to go in a straight line, you slow down to an annoying crawl.
Yeah, and it was a very conscious effort to do that. You didn't want to automate anything, because then you really wouldn't feel like a snake.
Exactly, yeah, and this forces you constantly to think like a snake and wrap around things and use the environment to get up things efficiently. And the way a real snake would do it is almost always in this game also the best way to do it.
Consistently wrapping itself around stuff and everything. It's all about points of contact, really, and obviously that is important for a snake too. So with this particular demo that we brought to EGX, aside from seeing if the controls worked, which a lot of people loved, thankfully, what else was there in terms of?
Well, I think by now we were pretty sure about what the size of a level should be and roughly what you should be doing in a level, but we still had a big question mark for what is the main objective of a level and what happens at the end of a level.
Right.
So what you'll see in this demo is something completely different than we ended up with, which we just saw, where you collect 3 gems and you activate the gate at the end of the level to go to the next one. At this point we hadn't come up with all that yet, and the plan was to actually raise a cage with a hamster in it all the way to the top by rotating these things you see here. So each level would have 6 of these in. As you can see on the bottom right, I've now triggered one. They all raise the cage with the hamster in a little bit, and when it's at the top it falls down and you hug the hamster.
Yes,
you don't strangle.
Give him a big hug.
You hug the hamster and that completed the level.
Cool.
Which was funny for one demo.
But doing it over and over and over again,
the joke is not funny anymore after 5 levels.
Unless you have to hug different things, I suppose.
Maybe.
Yeah. Hug all the friends. But thank you once again to Verge of Apathy, a longtime fan. Yes, indeed. So pleasure to have you again once again in 2017. Hope you had a lovely New Year as well, and lovely holiday too. Please feel free to ask us anything once again. But right now we are just for everybody who's just come in, we are talking about the cool things that we've experienced in 2016 with Snake Pass, because that has been a very, very eventful year for this game. I mean, we just talked about it. This is really like with the EGX Res demo. This is actually the first, like you mentioned before, is the first big public event that we took it to. So this is almost like us saying, "Hey, guess what? This game exists." To everybody. And now, we are going to end up being on Xbox One, PlayStation 4, Steam. So,
yeah,
it's really cool.
If you told me this last year, I wouldn't have believed it.
It's really wild because it's how fast the development has gone from something like this. Which, to be fair, a lot of people who saw this game at this particular stage were like, "Oh, that looks really good." But
it does.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes, indeed. Thank you to all the awesome artists that worked on it, and obviously Unreal Engine put it in the work as well with this, and they've been really helping us out too.
Absolutely,
with the game and everything. So
say enough good things about Unreal Engine. Just the things that engine makes possible with just so little effort. It's amazing.
James, can you move the chat really quick? I cannot see everything that they're saying. No, you can totally be a fan without playing the game Verge of Apathy. I mean, hopefully you'll be able to mess around with it sooner than later. But, the fact that you are here all the time and, talking about the game and enjoying what we show you so far, you're enjoying, our silly voices and whatnot, I think that makes you a fan, yeah? Question, have we ever shown a music track beside this one? No. Not publicly. Not publicly. But hopefully soon we'll show you more, because I'm sure just like yourself or just like us, variety is the spice of life.
This track was made by Don Parker.
Yes.
At the very early last year. Just before Rest. Mm-hmm. And we've been using this track ever since. Mm-hmm. It's a great track.
It really is, though. To be
fair. To be honest, I've heard it so many times now. It's really getting.
Well, it was like when we were working with on Little Big Planet 3, and we had that particular boss music. Every game you're just kind of stuck with it, and there's going to be times during the beta phase when you're cleaning up all the bugs and whatnot, you got to hear it over and over and over again. Like, please, I'm done with this.
Yeah, and at some point you just want to turn the audio off, but you can't really, because then you can't spot audio bugs.
Yeah, exactly. So somebody's got to listen to it.
Just hear it over and over.
Yeah. So
that's just a tiny little annoyance. Like, we're still making. I was a biology teacher, and now I'm working
You're making
on my
video
own
games,
so what am I complaining about?
No complaints, right?
No.
In the grand scheme of things, it's not that bad. I mean, if it was a terrible track, then we might have a whole other story. But I'm
looking forward to show off the actual final music.
Yeah,
because it's really, really, really good.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of it.
But we
playing
can't
through the game
say too much about it.
Yeah, in due time, you guys will definitely get it. So, could you open up the chat one more time again? Yeah, it's like, the track is pretty cool, but we've heard it a million times by now. Believe me. Believe you and me, just like we were saying, in due time. But it's definitely going to be sooner than later, so keep your eye out. And I think that's why we turn off one of the reasons why we turn off the music in the real game as well. But yeah, we have eggs here. Why did we change from eggs to wisps?
Well, the eggs were always just because no one could think of anything better at that point.
Okay.
That's truly, that's a bit of a lame answer, but that's what it is.
And to be fair, that happens a lot.
We were basically just waiting for someone to suggest something better.
We need better ideas, guys. But this was still in the concept phase, so you didn't have like a huge team working on it, because the concept team was primarily made to see if games can become an actual game more than anything else. So the slide is still there. That looks like that hasn't changed at all.
No.
In comparison to the real game. But as we see, all the core mechanics are here. See if we can find the hamster. Give him a big old hug. A lot of people, I don't think a lot of people were mad about giving it a hug.
Everybody almost loved it.
Yeah.
And thought it was real funny.
Yeah. It's a good in-joke, you know? I mean, it was never too bad,
No.
to say the least.
But again, you can't just have that at the end of every level.
Yeah, because was it one of the core ideas for the game, or at least in the concept phase anyways, like you have to save your hamster buddy, and he's getting constantly captured every single time.
Yeah,
So like, Princess is
about
another
that.
castle,
Yeah.
that type of situation. So, but it's interesting how it went from a hamster buddy to Doodle.
Yeah, the hummingbird.
Yeah, the hummingbird Doodle. So, now was that something that you've always had on the back of your mind?
I think by the time we made this, there was already a rough floating sphere representing
Right.
a possible
I remember that.
bird
Yeah.
sidekick. Yeah.
And they were actually really powerful in terms of picking you up and everything, because it actually lifted you to a certain extent. Then you can kind of
we weren't sure at
super
that
float
point
your way across other things and whatnot.
We weren't sure at that point if we had the time and budget to properly add a whole sidekick mechanic.
Right.
But once we showed a working prototype and the things that you could do with it, people got really enthusiastic about it.
Yeah.
And I always felt like, while playing it by myself, working on it by myself in the evening hours I felt the game was sometimes a bit lonely, since you're in this big environment and you're just this solitary creature in it. So I kind of added just something to keep you company, essentially, and then I started thinking about how can he actually help me out, and when we had some solid mechanics for that, we like, let's add a bird.
Yeah, because there aren't really any enemies in this game as well.
No.
A lot of it's all just, it is all like environmental hazards. If you've seen the later stuff, and I'm sure when we get back into the main game, the worlds are way more fleshed out with life and everything. So you probably don't at this stage, if we didn't necessarily have Doodle flying around, you wouldn't necessarily feel like you're the only thing there.
No, we added a lot more life to it now. Like we have fish and all kinds of insects.
Yeah, it's really cool how they react to what you're doing too. When we had the animation stream, we had Griff talking about the different actions that they would and how he animated it and whatnot. So it was really nice to see everything literally come to life.
Yeah,
so you jump in the water.
Do have butterflies.
Yeah,
they
butterfly.
made it all the way through.
Yeah.
They're still in the final game now.
Y'all did it.
Only one spindle left to fully reach the cage.
Yes, that one right there. So that whole, I guess, how can I put it? Pathfinding bit right there, giving you the option of, not necessarily the option, but giving you a visual indicator of where you need to go. That kind of moved on over as well.
Well, the big
extent.
beam coming
Exactly.
Yeah, we did keep that. We didn't keep because this one has on the top, bottom right, it also has a radar pointing you to the closest one. That's no longer there.
Yeah.
We kind of want you to do that by yourself, by finding a vantage point, climbing to a vantage point, then looking around, and then planning your path to the next one. We felt like having an actual radar on the screen just takes away some of the exploration. And
there was no you guys obviously made a conscious effort not to I guess place any of the keystones in something that was like covered underground or like in a cave or anything like that. They're always out in the world, technically, for you to see, correct? To us.
Yeah, well, we sort of got forced in that direction by having that big light beam on every one of them. You kind of have to have them lying freely or some kind of hole in the ceiling for the beam to shine through. So In every level there will be a few vantage points which will allow you to see the things that you
Right.
need to go to. And usually every level starts also with you seeing one of the
Right.
gemstones. So you
Just
know
to kind of give you
initially where to go.
Yeah.
Of course, if you follow that, you will miss a lot of secret stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because every level is scattered with optional
Yeah.
content.
Yeah, on that note, actually, a lot of people did ask when they played this initially, is this going to be open world? Because in a sense, this game was, at least the demo anyway, it kind of assumed that levels might not necessarily be linear in a sense, versus you just put stuff out there and then you just and that was actually, I think, a question that you guys had in terms of the actual game design too. How open do we make things?
Yeah. So we kind of went for a mix, in the sense that some levels are quite linear. To clearly follow a path from A to B with like short side collectibles. But there's also a bunch of levels where you kind of have a central point.
Like a spoke.
Yeah, like a spoke with different branches coming off it. Personally, when I was designing the levels, I kind of had in mind, sounds maybe a bit silly, but a midget golf course.
Okay, yeah.
Where you have like an
area,
a themed area, and mini golf.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We call it midget golf where I'm from.
Okay, fair enough.
But yeah, mini golf.
But yes.
But you have like a themed area with a couple of what do you call one mini golf courts?
The putt, the ranges, kind of, sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess you have a corner with a few. Themes.
Yeah, that's your hole right there. Yeah.
And so that's just kind of the same. We have
Okay.
one pocket.
That's an interesting way of looking at it. Yeah.
And then each of the gems represent one of the obstacle courses.
Right. Okay. Cool.
That's kind of how I looked at it when I was designing the levels.
That makes sense, to be fair. Here's another question: if Snake Pass 2 had multiplayer, would you randomly replace the S and Z's in the text chat with S's? If we could.
That's I love that idea.
Yeah, there you go.
Unfortunately, I don't have many people agreeing with me when it comes to snake puns. My opinion is we can't have enough snake puns, but a lot of people get annoyed by them. So I'm not sure.
But a lot of people do love that outside of the company, so maybe.
Yeah.
All right. So at the end of every level, in this particular version, this is what you would have been doing. Big
Finally,
old tight hug.
And he's your friend. Like, you freed him out of the cage. You're not killing him. He just explodes in love.
Yeah, and then he morphs back into a hamster in a cage again then for the next level. So after all that, pretty much the game got green lighted.
Yeah, we got such a positive response from people playing it there. And like the worries that we had about whether or not it was maybe too difficult to control, they also disappeared after rest, because everybody who actually played it was able to get around. Maybe not as elegantly as I just showed, but all the worries we had about maybe the game is too difficult to control, those kind of disappeared after EGX rest, and that's when we went in full production. Yeah,
interestingly enough, we talked about two control schemes earlier. We did have one that was easier for people. Well, we actually took some data in regards to what people liked and what people didn't like. And for the most part,
EGX Rest we had secretly two setups with two different control schemes, and after people were done playing, we would ask them to rate the game and rate the difficulty.
That's called A/B
controls.
testing.
A/B testing. So, but unfortunately, not really much useful came out of that, because both of the control schemes came out
very similar,
close to each other.
So we decided to stick with one for now.
Yeah.
But as we took it to more shows and everything like that, if we were trying to, I guess, cater to kids per se, like who were really young, and we had lots of families like at EGX and other shows, where the child might not necessarily have the same.
Because to use the full abilities of the snake, you use the left trigger, the right trigger, and both the sticks, and a lot of the time the A button as well. So for small hands, that can be quite taxing to hold all those buttons all the time.
Or people who don't necessarily play games with controllers anyway.
Yeah.
And we did have a lot of questions also in regards to using keyboard and mouse controls too. But the reason why we don't do that is because you don't get the same level of fine analog detail
this
as you
3D
would.
stick this stick actually moves in 3D in the real world, and that translates directly to what the snake is doing, and you just can't get that from a keyboard and mouse setup.
Yeah, because I think we have messed around just in terms of like controller-wise digital control, and that it's too unwieldy for the game itself.
You're right. On top of that, this is also fully analog, so you can go a little bit left or all the way left.
Which is way important later on too. So, oh look, Verge of Apathy also is working on a game that got greenlit after Christmas as well. So, congratulations to you. So if you don't mind letting us know what the game is, that would be pretty awesome. So yeah, getting at that point over to what we've been seeing now, actually. How intense was that, getting the game ready for EGX? Now that the pressure was on, you kind of sort of had to...
Well, initially, we had this really small team of maybe 4 guys, and then we went into full production, and we got upskilled a lot. And then suddenly you can't, or I can't just be involved in everything anymore. So I had to how to say that? Take distance from certain elements, which I found quite difficult in the beginning. I kind of wanted to stay in control of everything and have a say in everything. But looking back now, I realized that was just way too much on myself as well, and also not the best way to make a good game. Like we have so many experienced people in the company that you only get a better game if you let people do exactly what they're good at.
We talk about this a lot in development as well, but the tunnel vision also kicks in too. So being able to step away, makes it easier to see the whole picture too. Because what you might see might not necessarily, like you said.
There was constantly a struggle between what I had in mind and what people thought was maybe a better idea. And it was in the beginning, especially, it was quite a bit of friction and discussion about exactly how to do certain things, but I think that's all part of the process, and all that is behind us now, and everybody is happy with where we're at and where we're going. So
cool. Yeah, so that's pretty awesome. So we have an answer from Verge of Apathy: Wind and Water Puzzle Battles Online. We'll definitely check that out in the Greenlight area. So that's awesome. Congratulations. So let's take a look at what we called the hard level from the EGX build. Okay. What was that one again? If you don't mind.
Which number?
Yeah. Was it 10? Was it 10? I think it was.
The thing is, these numbers don't correspond anymore.
Yeah. With it just happens. So Hold on.
You have to remove the.
Oh, are we on?
Search filter there.
Oh, are we there? Oh, that's why.
So we might accidentally now show a level that we're not supposed to show.
But thankfully, James will not. Yeah, see, we will remember now. Excellent. So, let's jump into that.
Yeah, because after we've made the levels, then it's really hard from the beginning on to make a smooth difficulty curve. So when we
especially with this game too, because it's a brand new way of thinking.
So the initial levels in which they are saved right now, like 1 to 19 or 9 to 20.
Because you're going to have a lot of ideas that might just be pulled from a later one or an earlier one and be like, this works better here because it's this theme or because of the difficulty as well.
Yeah, or at some point I think we had like level 6, which was like way harder than level 12.
Yeah.
And you swapped them around, but we didn't change the level names, so everybody's currently very confused about which level is exactly which.
It pretty much happens in every game, to be fair. I know, like when we were working on Little Big Planet, we shifted so many different levels to different areas. We're like, is this the right one? I don't even know if I'm working on the right one.
As long as you do it early enough before the art is in, you can get
exactly.
But once you've decided this is a water level and it belongs in the beginning of the game, you can't suddenly change it into a fire level.
Yeah, if not, you just later level.
Yeah.
So we've introduced water here, and again, it was another thing that I guess the team wanted to show anyway, because we see a lot of curling, rolling around, whatnot, climbing things, but what else can a snake do? We're trying to add that variety. So you don't necessarily go,
the snake visuals is partially based on the coral snake, which is a snake which lives mostly in the water.
Yeah. Oh, does it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So to see it swimming, it was always I've always had that image in my head of a swimming snake.
Okay.
So I kind of wanted to get that in as well. And on top of that, like there's no enemies, and the actual enemy in the game is gravity. So it's really nice
That's
to get
a very
a
good
break
point,
from
yeah.
that enemy by going in the water, because water makes you completely weightless.
Yeah.
And it sort of gives you a break from that enemy, which is constantly trying to drag you down.
That is pretty intense. So, we were talking about this earlier before the stream, but I guess the logic and everything to put the snake together, it would be really interesting to see in a blueprint, just so you have an idea. Do you mind showing us?
No, of course.
Yes, let's go ahead
I
and
think that's interesting.
step out really
It's
quick.
mostly very confusing, overwhelming, and messy. So the blueprint that started everything is this.
That's not the worst one that I've... Oh, gosh.
Well, by now you have to... most of it, or a lot of it, is now collapsed into smaller sections.
Yeah.
So initially this was way, way bigger and way messier.
Yes.
But as you can see, it's still multiple pages.
It has
of
gotten better.
blueprint, and I'm zoomed all the way out
Yeah.
now. And this is like the worst bit. And all these things contain lots of stuff as well.
So were those
Just
our...
goes on and on and
The
on
snake
and on.
itself is built in 35 spheres,
Yeah.
right? So where in the blueprint does that show?
Well, so the snake is actually built in the blueprint.
Right.
So there's no model for the snake. It's literally step-by-step build, in the sense that we first create 35 spheres, then we connect the 35 spheres
Yeah.
together, and then we draw a skin around those, and all that happens in the construction script. So the snake doesn't actually exist until you put it in the world, then the construction script kicks in and it creates the
Right.
snake.
That's
So
interesting.
that's this page here, which is not so big compared to the things that happen every frame.
Right,
all the
exactly.
calculations which you saw before this. So these few lines essentially create the snake. And we can visualize that a little bit as well. I can make a skin invisible, I think, if we're not crashing. No. There we go.
Yeah. What'd you do there?
So I now made the spheres that make up his body, I made them visible because they were invisible
Oh, okay,
before.
cool.
And now I will make the skin invisible. Compile. It takes a while on a long
Cross
blueprint
fingers,
like this.
cross fingers. I think we have a hello, actually. On the other one, James? If that's for... Hello, Barb. I'm gonna try.
There we go. So this is
Oh, here we go. Nice.
this is the guts of the
Oh, no.
I-
Kinda, sorta. Well, you saw it initially when it
yeah,
morphed
but
in, yeah.
by now there's so much stuff on the top because the skin does all kinds of fancy stuff now. Like,
Yeah.
when you touch the water, the skin will have a wet look to it. When you spawn in and out, the snake skin fades in and out.
You have all
So
the
it's not so
reflections and
easy
whatnot.
for
Yeah,
me
yeah.
anymore to now just turn off the skin, because there will be other things telling the skin to become visible
Yeah,
again, or
definitely.
to become wet, and then so.
Cool.
It's gonna be hard. You can see the sphere still through his body at the moment, but it's not as
Yeah.
clearly as I would like
Yeah.
to show.
But we have a comment from Official Hydra, the very official Hydra. Thank you very much. Appreciate it, and hopefully you enjoy what you see so far. So thank you for being part of the chat as well. Are you trying to? Oh, there's a sphere.
Yeah, the spheres are there,
Yeah.
but the skin is being told by something else to
Yeah,
become visible
exactly.
again after I turn it invisible.
So let's just make everything normal again for the most part. So what does the blueprint of the of Doodle look like in comparison?
Let's have a look. I think that one's even more messy because John, the coder who worked on that the most, he doesn't really like to clean up his logic.
Fair enough.
He just, when it works, it's done. Well, I know
Yeah.
what I do a lot, and when it works, after that I get really precise about making everything align and making the wires as short as possible, and to make the blueprint look nice, which does nothing useful.
Yeah.
except it makes it more readable afterwards. But John doesn't do that, so we'll see that this.
But not to knock John, he's a very talented individual.
No, I love John.
He made this thing.
He makes stuff work, and that's what you want. But as you can, the wires will be even more messy. And there will not be a giant. Oh, there will be a giant graph, but it's not as big. But again, the snake was also the origins of the snake stems from the time when I was still learning Unreal. So a lot of things that make I just didn't know a lot of things yet. So a lot of the stuff in the early blueprint that's still there is just done in a very inefficient way, or it's just using like 50 components instead of 10. I didn't know yet how to collapse things into smaller sections, so they'll just be massive things that could be collapsed into one little thing. Excellent. I didn't know all of that.
Excellent. Yeah, to all our Unreal viewers, thank you. I guess we are being hosted now by Unreal Engine, so hello guys! How are you guys doing? And look, lo and behold, we are in the Unreal Engine as well. We are showing off how one of the characters in our game works. The name is Doodle, via the blueprints. We were talking about a lot of legacy stuff, really, on how this game came from a game jam project just last year, and to now we are pretty much getting ready to release early this year as well. So
this is the part of the bird that ties in the state machine for the people that know Unreal. So the snake doesn't use that at all. The snake is just pure calculations, pure blueprint, and the bird actually uses an animation blueprint with a state machine, which ties into this.
Because, like you said, the snake doesn't necessarily exist until you throw it in a level.
Yeah, and the bird is
it's just spheres. It's not a model itself.
Model.
Yeah. So let's take a look at that really quick then. Just the game in general for the most part. Oh wait. Special skin, no.
This is for our test for multiplayer to see if we can get multiplayer working. We had to make a different color snake.
Right. That's cool.
I didn't know that was actually saved.
Ta-da!
What did you want to look at?
Let's see how the actual the products work. Oh, we got another question actually, if you don't mind, on the Snake Pass side. Awesome, showing the behind the scenes project from JP Vertigo. Thanks for the insight. I've seen some messy blueprints in my work, and that is not too bad.
Well,
there you go.
We're getting better. We're getting better. On another project that we're running, it's actually people are obligated to comment their blueprints, so they are way neater. We don't have that obligation. We probably should have done that.
Yeah.
Would have
best practices and everything. So it's important to have the best
next
practices.
Unreal project, I will probably push for people to be obligated to comment their stuff. So this saves a lot of time.
Yeah. So go ahead and just jump on in then, really quick.
Just play.
Yeah, just play. And once again oh, there we go. Well, now it's back. Yeah. But at least you know that's what it looks like under this game. 35 spheres, all running their own, individual physics as well, to be fair.
Yeah, they're all constantly looking at what am I touching, at what angle am I touching it, and that determines how strong each body section is, which sort of mimics how actual muscles work. Because a real muscle can only do its work, it has to bend first before it can stretch. So in the same way, each sphere needs to be bent before it is allowed to to generate pushing power, which is also why you're faster when you're curvy.
So I guess in terms of code versus blueprints and how much this is actually working all together now, is there much code? Well, of course there is a lot of code. But
by now there's quite a lot of code, but the initial blueprint, the initial version that we looked at, the green snake, was completely built in Blueprint. And essentially everything that the snake is currently doing is still the same as I made it in Blueprint, but a lot of it has
things are a bit more efficient in terms of
because
adding
Blueprint
code.
are unfortunately quite slow to run, and to have it run on all systems optimally, we have to move quite a bit of our Blueprint into code, so it just does exactly the same, it just does it a lot faster. So that's what we're still doing actually, because that's just a huge win for optimization. To just move as much of the snake logic as possible.
There is a lot of heavy calculations going on in order to make this movement possible, really, more than anything else.
Like I said, every one of these 35 spheres gets a ton of updates every frame. So yeah.
Yeah, it's complex movement.
The faster we can do those calculations, the faster the game will run, and the better the frame rate will be.
Yeah, cool. And then for everybody who's just jumped in as well, we are releasing on Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and Steam.
Indeed.
Yeah, and we do have our Steam page up. So if you like what you see, please throw us on your wish list. Oh, well, that's new. I don't remember seeing that before.
Yeah,
a lot of added things recently.
Yeah, on one hand, it's just a little...
Oh, that's cool. Okay, I get it.
It's
pretty
a little
cool, like
art
drums,
element,
yeah.
But the cool thing about it is it generates
the sound.
environmental sounds.
Yeah.
Like our audio guy really wanted us to put some more stuff in the level that made noises.
That makes sense. I like the sound
So
of
the
that.
water
Yeah,
levels
literally.
will have these water drums. Where Well, I don't know if the people at home have actually audio on what they see.
They do. They
Okay.
do. Yeah, they should anyway. James? Yeah. Okay. Good.
Well, the whole audio side still needs to be mixed, so you might not hear them at the moment, but they will make something.
Yeah, you can hear it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool.
It's just a nice little touch to bring life to the world, and
Now we got the fish over there
yeah,
and everything.
and will swim away from me.
Yeah. Oh, it'd be cool if we had Griff over here to show you the little animation timelines and whatnot. All the different
Yeah,
actions
I'd
that they
rather
make.
not touch that.
Yeah, don't mess it up. That's not your forte right now.
No.
Yeah, it's amazing how it came from, I guess, people who are watching. Let me bring it up really quick. Oh my, not that one. Oop. Run really
Just run
slow.
both at the same time.
Yeah, just run everything at the same time. Let me just. I don't know what I'm doing. No. Yes. All right, here we go. Good old Snake Simulator. So this is what it was before. And in comparison, it's just like, what the heck? To this Snake Simulator right here. Actual Snake Pass. That's wild.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing that we
It's
managed.
just like one big year, you know?
We managed to do it in 1 year. Yeah.
And again, it's been really helpful working in Unreal Engine, getting everything just up and running, just the visuals and whatnot. And it's obviously moving from something like Little Big Planet to a game engine like this.
Yeah, the blueprint programming, or however you want to call it, is very
A programming
similar.
language, really, to a certain extent.
It is.
Well,
it is
it
a
is.
programming
It is a
language.
programming
Like
language,
if you see what you can do everything in Blueprint that you can do in code. Basically. So yeah, it's just an awesome system especially for designers to quickly
Yeah,
get
quick
your ideas
iteration and
out,
everything, yeah.
I mean, at home I have like 4 or 5 different prototypes that I just made in a few hours. Like, you get a random idea, you knock some notes together, you attach them, and you have something you can play. So that's what I love about it most.
Yeah, very
But
robust.
also how all the elements of the engine, they kind of work around the same principle. So before I started working with Unreal, I knew nothing about shaders and rendering and all that stuff. But because it all uses the same system of connecting stuff together, I now know also a ton about making shaders and all kinds of stuff that I never thought I would be involved with as a designer. But because it's so accessible, because it's using exactly the same principles behind it, it just allows me to go way beyond my actual niche.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
And I can read it back as well. If one of the artists makes some kind of complicated shader, I can just look at it, and because I understand the system behind it, I can sort of just decipher what it's doing. Yeah, that's just one of the best things about Unreal.
Awesome.
And then all the tutorials, just as soon as you're stuck on something or you want to do a specific thing, you Google it, and it brings you to either the super useful Unreal forums, or you'll find some tutorial online that explains exactly how to do it.
Yeah.
It's real great.
Looks like we have a familiar name in one of the chats, actually. Over there.
Luos!
Yeah.
Colibris, yeah man, obviously.
So what up, Dang? How's it going?
Yeah, so Luos is one of the guys I used to spend every night with creating Little Big Planet.
Yeah. Back
I
in
was
the
still
day.
hoping to become a real game designer.
those were the days, right?
Yeah.
I think that after a certain point, after making so many things on Little Big Planet, you kind of wish that maybe, just maybe.
Well, the funny thing is,
point.
Lewis is actually now also like an expert on Unreal.
No,
he
good.
like gives, he teaches people how to use Unreal.
Good.
And I think that's also because of his background with Little Big Planet, that he could so easily use that knowledge.
Yeah, exactly.
To become good with Unreal.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Good times indeed. So I mean, 2016 has gone and passed, and now we have this year where we will actually be releasing the game. So when we get to that point, that'll be really cool. But it's been a fun recap. Actually, we've done so many different things lately. Like, I don't know, what have we done? We've done all the shows like EGX. We went to PSX. We've done a lot of UK gaming shows here and there. Been all over the place. Yeah, we showed up in Edge as well. I think that was the 300th, right? So yeah.
I'm not sure what to show this on.
The camera. Course, the camera.
Look, we are in the 300th edition of Edge magazine.
Yep.
Also very awesome.
Yeah. So I mean, a lot of cool milestones and everything like that, and it's really cool how it just came from a game jam really more than anything else. So
yeah, it's pretty incredible.
And thank you very much. Yeah, the guys here have done a really great job of putting this together, putting the ideas that came from your head and obviously other ideas as the game's development progressed into something awesomely coherent, and it's cool to see people actually looking forward to this really.
Yeah.
More than anything else. So we're actually getting close to closing time now, but we are hosting. We are doing way more streams through the month of January as well. We got one every week for the most part, around the same time, 5 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, GMT, the UK time here, which is whatever time it is you guys are watching. But we got some really cool stuff. I think next week we're going to be talking about a bit more audio stuff, which is voice acting and how it actually gets implemented into a game like this where you don't really have voices. So we're gonna have
we will
audio.
have.
Yes.
The recording has been made this week.
Yeah, so it'll be cool to show you guys. Yeah, I was there, so it's funny watching somebody try to, I guess, get into the mind of a snake.
Yeah, I've tried to do
this one as well, and it's tough. It's tough.
They initially asked me to do the voice, but I guess my voices weren't good enough. That's why we got an actual professional to do it. But yeah, it was pretty hilarious to just sit in the booth going, "Oh."
Which can be interpreted in so many different ways. But yeah, we have this. We got a bunch of other cool things coming up as well. We'll be talking to the Unreal guys actually in 2 weeks.
We don't want to show this.
Yeah, we don't want to show stuff like that.
Spoilers.
So yeah, Cinematic Manager, take over. But yeah, so every Thursday, for those of you who are just first timers here, thank you for watching first of all, and thank you to Unreal Engine for rehosting us as well. We will be here every Thursday, same time, 5 p.m. GMT. You can also catch Snake Pass for more updates and even like little contests that we will be holding probably closer to the end of the month as well. You can catch us on Twitter at snake_pass. We also have our Facebook, which is Snake Pass Game. We have our YouTube, where we put our recorded streams over there as well if you've missed older ones. And we have some really cool ones actually from the previous year over at youtube.com/snakepassgame. And you can also find us at snakepass.com as well, snake-pass.com. So, once again, thank you for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the little recap that we had for Snake Pass in 2016. You got to see some pretty cool things in Unreal Engine as well. And once again, thank you to Unreal Engine for hosting us.
Yeah,
it's always good to show the game and talk about the game to just different audiences and whatnot, because it really is a very unique game in the sense that you haven't controlled a snake like this before.
No, it's very different.
And also because it came from a game jam game, and now it's an actual game jam, and it actually is a full big product now.
It's made
Dreams come true, man.
Yeah, exactly. It's made out of love and not.
So thank you to Sumo Digital,
a big
obviously,
bag of money.
for, you know,
like, it's all about making something that we're all proud of and that we're all love to be working on. And indeed. Thanks so much, Sumo, for this opportunity, and thanks Unreal for creating this awesome piece of software that allowed us to do this.
But like I said earlier, Luos, we put this on our YouTube, which is God, there's so many different things. Yeah, Snake Pass game. We'll have that probably later on tonight or tomorrow for this particular one. But we have 10 more streams prior to that, which are also hosted on our YouTube page and also on our Twitch too, so you can catch up on all that stuff as well. So aside from that, I think we're gonna call it quits for today. It's been fun bringing in the new year and everything like that. I'm sure we'll be a bit more wide-eyed because we're still kind of working off vacation and everything. But it's always good to talk to you guys about the game and everything. So thank you very much.
Cool announcements.
We have some very cool announcements as we get closer to release as well. So yeah, some really cool stuff.
Can't wait.
Yeah, you know, as much as we want to just say it now, it's best for later, to be fair. And I'm sure everybody who has been watching us will be relatively excited too. So keep in touch. Please subscribe to us if you want to add us to your wish list on Steam as well. We are up there too, so that'd be pretty awesome. And feel free to leave us any comments on our Twitter, Facebook. Yeah, awesome.
Go to really good. And search for Snake Pass.
Yeah, just like it and talk about snakes. Hashtag snake. Oh yes, and anything that we talk about or you guys want to talk about Snake Pass, we do hashtag Snake Pass game as well. So that'd be really cool. So yeah. From everybody here in Sheffield, the United Kingdom, at Sumo Digital, from the Snake Pass team, thank you for watching. It's been a pleasure.
See you next week.
See you guys next week. Cheers.